Hey baby love, ready to strap on for another smucking video? Don't worry, all the bad gunky is gone. This one is all good. Here are 19 reasons to read Lisey's story. Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Musson, at Dave Musson on Instagram, and this is a place where I'm taking you through the works of Stephen King in chronological order and giving you 19 reasons to read all of his books. If that sounds like something you'd like more of, click around the rest of my channel and don't forget to hit subscribe as well so you don't miss any in the future. In this video we're looking at Lisey's story, his second novel from 2006 and one of my personal all-time favourite Stephen King books, even if it is a little overlooked by quite a large number of constant readers. I'm going to give you 19 reasons to read this one, and I'll cluster any spoilers towards the end and give you fair warning so you can bail if you need to, but otherwise, let's smucking do this. Here are 19 reasons to read Lisey's story. So this book was written over the course of a couple of years and actually started life as a short story called Lisey and the Madman, which was first published in 2004 in McSweeney's Chamber of Enchanted Stories, in McSweeney's Enchanted Chamber of Astonishing Stories. And after it was published in that publication with a stupid title, it was also nominated for the 2004 Bram Stoker Prize for Long Fiction. So many facts in the first reason to read this. So when the novel finally came out, it won the Bram Stoker Award for Best Novel in 2006, and it was nominated for the World Fantasy Award the following year. Thank God that point is over and I can stop looking at all the notes on my screen about the awards that this thing won. It's impressive, right? So something I personally love about Lisey's story is just how much depth it has to it and how much is going on. It's a beautiful ode to romance. It's a terrifying psychological thriller. It's a dark fantasy with a magical other world. It's a deep and unflinching look at sisterly relationships and mental health, particularly within families. It's a traumatic look at child abuse, and it's a fascinating deep dive into creativity and the world and mind of a writer. More than anything though, it's a powerful and really driven story about the strength of a good relationship and a sound and loving marriage. And even though King has denied that Lisey and Scott in this are him and Tabitha, it really feels too on point and too powerful to have not taken at least some inspiration from real life. It's just a fantastic read. Another pretty big reason to read this one, King has gone on record on more than one occasion and said that this book is his favourite from everything that he has written. So the idea for this story actually came about in 2003 when King was in hospital with pneumonia, which was brought about following complications after the 1999 minivan accident that nearly killed him. Now when he was in hospital recovering, Tabitha decided to take the opportunity to redecorate King's studio, which meant packing everything down into boxes so she could get the work done. Now that work wasn't finished by the time he came home, and that image of seeing his life packed away and his wife having to deal with it just set all the sparks going in King's mind, and this story ended up coming out of it. So apparently one of the original ideas for how this was going to pan out was actually for it to be a bit of a dark comedy about a famous author whose wife in the background was actually the one who bailed him out of lots of tricky situations and writer's block all the time. But as King started writing it, it got dark and it got weird much faster than he'd anticipated, and let's face it, it's a much better story for him. So let's try and get into the hook of this one, bearing in mind what I said earlier about just how many areas this one is pulling from. At its most basic level, we're following Lisey Landon, who is the recently widowed widow of Scott Landon, a world-famous, mega-selling horror author who has died before this book started, and Lisey is finally, a couple of years later, getting round to clearing out his things and clearing out his study. Now unfortunately for her, one of the many academics who are sniffing around trying to get hold of all of this unpublished, undocumented work ends up sending a lunatic Lisey's way, trying to track down unpublished Scott Landon stuff and posing a very real threat to Lisey's life in the process. At the same time, while Lisey is going through all of this stuff, she discovers that her husband has left her a treasure hunt, a bull hunt in his words, with a very special prize at the end that not only has this prize for Lisey, but also explains Scott's life and takes her to another world, a literal other world called Booyah Moon, which is somewhere where Scott has been able to take refuge his entire life and use in his creative process. You sticking with me? Good. This bull hunt not only is crucial in helping Lisey stay alive, but it's also crucial in understanding her husband, helping her mentally unwell sister, and just discovering exactly what everything is supposed to be about. Much as I love this story, the one annoying thing about it is the weird language that Scott and Lisey have with each other. Now, I know many relationships have their own words and ways of speaking, and it's great that that's reflected in a story where marriage is at the heart of it, but fuck me, some of this stuff is so fucking annoying. By the time you've read Smucking, Sawisa, Bad Gunky more than a few times, you are sick to the back smucking teeth of it. And, baby love, I am not in any way unhappy that when it got rewritten and reworked for the Apple TV series in 2021, a lot of that stupid smucking stuff was taken out. Much better for it. Good decision. So back onto the positives, and this book is a great example of how to use flashbacks brilliantly to pad out the story and flesh out your characters. The way we use flashbacks to learn more about Lisey and Scott's relationship and Scott's horrific abusive childhood is so elegantly and perfectly done. So we also get to visit Booyah Moon, which I mentioned earlier, that other world, which is effectively King taking the idea of there being a metaphorical creative pool that writers go to get their ideas and making it a bit more literal. And for something so weird and embedded in King's head, he really manages to make it feel very real, very vivid, very beautiful, and very dangerous at the same time. One of the things that makes Booyah Moon scary and dangerous is the long boy, which I would say simply is one smucked up piece of bad gunky. Now I find this book interesting because it's another one where King really succeeds in having a woman as a lead character and making her a fantastic, fascinating character. Lisey is up there with Dolores Claiborne, Carrie White, Jessie Burlingame, Rosie Daniels, any of those other strong women characters that you want to look at. But at the same time, this still feels like a very male book. It feels very much from a man's perspective. So any women watching this who have read Lisey's story, I'd love to hear your perspectives on Lisey in the comments. I think she's really well done, but I'm a man. I'm not the best judge of this, so let me know what you think of her. So for some reason, despite its brilliance and the clout of all the awards and the nominations this one received, Lisey's story is another somewhat overlooked book in King's work. Kind of typical of a lot of his mid-nought stuff, really. That period between the Dark Tower finishing and the big King renaissance with the It movies and Stranger Things dropping at the same time, there's just a chunk of stuff there that is full of excellent writing, but people just maybe aren't even aware of it, and so it often gets overlooked. If you've never opened the front page of Lisey's story and sat down and, well, baby love, got down to it, you need to change that, because this one really is a special book. Okay, it's time to strap on for some smucking spoilers, so if you need to dip out at this point, then see you soon, baby love. Okay, let's start with a scene in this book that has lived in my head rent-free since the first time I read this story. I'm talking about the scene when Zach McCool, Lisey's new psycho stalker that has been set upon her by an academic, when Zach attacks and mutilates Lisey with a can opener. It is quite horrific, it's awfully misogynistic, and ultimately is completely fucking terrifying and gruesome, particularly as the action in the scene takes place almost entirely off page. It is fucking harrowing. In fact, for a book that has so much love at its core, the violence in Lisey's story is pretty damn blunt, and there's a lot of it. The stuff from Scott's childhood, particularly the brutal death of his brother, is horrendous, and the demise of Zach McCall at the hands of the long boy, also pretty damn grim. Oh, and Zach leaving a dead cat in the mailbox? Yeah, also pretty nasty. But hey, at least it wasn't a dog, like usual. Actually, one of the scariest parts for me was just how Scott ended up dying, just of some random mystery virus that took him down like that. That can happen. That's fucking scary. Another scary part for me were some of the bits in Booyah Moon when we see people sitting around the edge of the lake and they are just veiled, shrouded figures. Yeah, smucking creepy. So remember that ball hunt from earlier with a special prize at the end of it for Lisey? What was Lisey's special prize? It was Lisey's story, which was a full handwritten account of Scott's horrible, abusive childhood and how he ended up having to murder his own father for the sake of his own sanity and to stay alive. Yeah, cool, thanks for that, Scott. So finally, I don't focus too much on adaptations in these book episodes, but the 2021 adaptation of Lisey's story that Apple TV turned into an 8-episode mini-series is absolutely worth your time. King himself wrote the screenplay for it, and you can see that he was taking it as an opportunity 15 years or so later to just fine-tune this story and turn something he already loved into something even better. Apple TV are very generous in giving out free trials. I'm not being paid to say this. It's a fact. You can easily get a 7-day free trial from Apple TV. Get yourself one of those free trials. Binge this series. It is beautiful. It is powerful. It is wonderful. So there we go. 19 reasons to read Lisey's story. Let me know what you think of this one in the comments. I'd love to know what you think of it. Personally, it's one of my all-time King favourites. If you enjoyed this video and you want more, there's plenty more on my channel. Do hit subscribe so you don't miss any in the future. And if you want to come and chat on Instagram, I'm @Dave Musson. Join me again next time when we're going back to Bachman, baby love.